Did you know that hidden numbers in your birth date might reveal your predisposition towards wealth or poverty? It sounds far-fetched, I understand. But the truth is, most people live without recognizing the potential within these digits. The most intriguing part is that they've been present since your first breath. Now tell me, do you possess the numbers that indicate abundance? The number 3 holds a power beyond many people's comprehension. It appears repeatedly in sacred texts as a symbol of wholeness and creation. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Past, present, and future. Body, soul, and spirit. 3 is the number of manifestation, of harmony between conception and reality. When this number appears in your birth date, it carries the energy of inventiveness, inspiration, and prosperity emanating from within. Reflect on how many times a brilliant idea popped into your mind, and due to fear or insecurity, you dismissed it. Has this ever happened to you? Perhaps you dreamt of starting a business, launching a project, changing careers, but an inner voice whispered, "What if I fail? What if I'm not capable?" This is precisely where the number 3 reveals itself. A call for you not to ignore the creative spark innate since birth. Most believe that only those with degrees, influential contacts, or capital can prosper. But is that truly the case? If so, how do we explain the stories of individuals who started from nothing and built empires? The secret is that they heeded and brought to life the creative power they possessed. This power is universal, but in those who possess the number 3, it vibrates with even greater intensity. I remember when I worked for the fire department, my path seemed ordinary, predictable, without great aspirations. Until one day, an improbable idea arose. Opening a cleaning company. I had no business experience, academic training, or even a detailed plan, but something inside me told me it could work. It was like a premonition, and without fully understanding, I decided to act. In the first year, my revenue exceeded $100,000. This transformed not only my finances, but also my world perspective. I realized that true wealth doesn't reside in money, but in the mind and heart. The number 3 represents this, the reminder that you were born with the ability to create wealth, regardless of your origin or apparent limitations. It invites you to transform thoughts into reality, dreams into ventures, ideas into prosperity. It's remarkable how this pattern emerges not only in scriptures but also in contemporary science. Studies published in the Journal of Creative Behavior indicate that individuals who constantly stimulate their creativity have significantly higher levels of personal satisfaction and well-being. Moreover, they tend to find faster and more efficient solutions to financial problems because they train their minds to identify opportunities where others see only obstacles. Imagine applying this creative power to everyday situations. Are you short on cash at the end of the month? Instead of complaining or feeling victimized by circumstances, use the energy of the 3 to identify what you can offer of immediate value. Perhaps it's selling unused items, offering a specialized service, or even creating a simple digital product for online sale. How many people do we know who complain about a lack of opportunities when they are in fact surrounded by them? The number 3 reminds us that abundance isn't out there. It begins within us. There are clear examples of this in public figures. Steve Jobs, for instance, didn't have a complete academic education and yet founded Apple from an idea, a creative spark. He believed in something that seemed improbable. This is the power of 3 in action, believing in the seed before seeing the tree. And now a reflection. How many times have you sabotaged yourself by deeming your idea insignificant, unimportant, doomed to fail? How many times have you stifled your own number 3 before allowing it to flourish? Perhaps it's happening right now, at this moment. Perhaps the idea that could change your life has already arisen in your mind, but you haven't yet taken the first step. The energy of the number 3 demands action. It's not just inspiration, but creation. It's not enough to have good ideas. You must put them into practice. Otherwise, the same power that could generate wealth ends up generating frustration and regret. And you must have felt this. That feeling of seeing someone else prospering with an idea that also crossed your mind. Therefore, If the 3 is present in your birth date, understand, you're not here to be an observer but a creator. Life has already given you the key. It's up to you to decide whether you'll open the door. The number 4 represents a force often overlooked. It symbolizes structure, discipline, perseverance. The scriptures present it as a symbol of solid foundations, the 4 Gospels, the 4 corners of the earth, the 4 elements that sustain life. When this number appears in your birth date, it reveals that you possess the ability to create solid foundations capable of supporting any construction, material or spiritual. Think about how many times you started something with enthusiasm but gave up halfway. How many interrupted diets, how many unfinished courses, how many broken promises to yourself. This happens because most people are carried away by fleeting emotion, not by the discipline demanded by the 4. Initial enthusiasm is not enough to achieve success. It's consistency that guarantees the harvest. Science proves this. Research from Stanford University has shown that self-discipline is a far more reliable indicator of success than intelligence quotient. In other words, it's not intelligence or natural talent that determines the extent of wealth, but rather the capacity for perseverance, for repeating small actions daily until they generate extraordinary results. The number 4 is this energy of constancy in action. I recall a period when, even after discovering the principles of prosperity, I still worked long hours at my cleaning company. There were days when I simply didn't want to get out of bed. My mind screamed, "It's too much effort, give up, return to comfort." But something inside me said, "Keep going, stay firm, build your foundation." It was this perseverance that transformed a small business into something profitable and capable of supporting me financially. The 4 was there, reminding me that there is no lasting prosperity without structure. Now observe examples in public figures. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, before becoming one of the highest paid actors in the world, faced the frustration of not being able to pursue American football. He could have given up. He could have accepted failure as his destiny. But he chose discipline. He chose to wake up early every day, train, build an exceptional physique and a strong mentality. Today the world sees only success, but the truth is that behind it lies the number 4. Consistency and discipline, brick by brick. And I ask you, how many times have you wished to change your financial situation but couldn't bear to wait for results? Most people abandon their plans before seeing the first harvest. Statistics show that more than 80% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions before 12 months are complete. They want an immediate miracle, but life doesn't work that way. The number 4 teaches us that we need to plant, cultivate, and await the time of harvest. Imagine the farmer who sows today and tomorrow digs up the earth to see if the seed has already sprouted. He will never see fruit because he doesn't respect the process. So it is with finances. You need to create a prosperity routine, saving a percentage of what you earn, investing constantly, studying about money every day no matter how slow the results are. The 4 doesn't concern itself with speed, but with direction and firmness. And here's what's most frightening. Without this energy, money may come, but it never stays. That's why so many people who win the lottery lose everything in a few years. The foundation was lacking, the cornerstone of the 4 was missing. Wealth without discipline is a sandcastle. The number 4 is an invitation for you to analyze your life and ask yourself, where are the foundations that will support my future? Perhaps it's in the habit of saving, in continuous study, in personal development, or even in taking care of your health to have the energy to achieve. Without this structure, any abundance that comes your way will be lost as quickly as it arrived. If the 4 appears in your birth date, know that you carry the energy of perseverance. It's not just any gift. It's the foundation that supports true wealth. The world may not applaud your daily efforts now, but when the harvest arrives, everyone will see that discipline always triumphs over talent. The number 8 is the very representation of abundance. If you observe it lying down, you will see the symbol of infinity, a flow that never ends. In the Bible, it appears as a sign of new beginnings, renewal, and resurrection. Those who possess the 8 in their birth date carry with them a powerful key: the ability to attract material prosperity by learning to harmonize mind, emotion, and action. But the 8 also carries a harsh lesson. If not respected, it transforms into a cycle of gain and loss, wealth and scarcity. Perhaps you've already seen this happen. People who made a lot of money in a short time but couldn't keep it. Celebrities, athletes, entrepreneurs who were at the top one moment and completely ruined the next. This is not a coincidence. It's the imbalance of the 8 in action. Abundance demands responsibility. 8 doesn't just mean earning. It signifies managing, multiplying and cherishing what you receive. I've experienced this firsthand. When my business thrived, money poured into my life like a torrent. Suddenly, I possessed more than I ever imagined, but I didn't know how to handle it. I spent recklessly, bought unnecessary things, lived as if there was no end, and what happened, I nearly lost everything. That's when I learned one of life's most crucial lessons. 8 doesn't tolerate waste. It demands awareness, requiring you to treat money as energy that must be respected. Science supports this principle. Studies on financial well-being show that people who fail to develop management skills experience significantly higher stress levels, even with high incomes. This explains why so many unhappy, wealthy individuals remain enslaved by the fear of loss, while those with less but who manage wisely enjoy peace and stability. 8 represents abundance, but abundance with balance. Now, consider how many times you've sabotaged your own finances. How many times have you received a raise, an unexpected bonus, or extra income, and instead of building something with it, simply spent until nothing remained? This is a common pattern. Statistics reveal that over 70% of people receiving large unexpected sums, like settlements or lottery winnings, become insolvent within 5 years. They never learned the language of 8. 8 also speaks of multiplication. It doesn't just want you to save money, it wants you to put it to work. This is where the habit of investing comes in, of creating income streams, of transforming each seed into a harvest. Wealth that doesn't multiply dies, and if you have 8 in your birth date, you need to understand that your prosperity will be proportional to your ability to make money flow, to set it in motion, to use that energy to create more value in the world. A clear example of this can be seen in individuals who transformed their fortunes into empires because they understood that money is a tool, not an end in itself. Consider Warren Buffett, who from a young age learned to reinvest his earnings. He didn't succumb to immediate consumption, but built brick by brick a legacy that is now one of the largest fortunes on the planet. This is 8 in its highest form, continuous abundance, infinite multiplication. But 8 also has a dark side. It can become a prison when used solely to satisfy the ego. How many artists, celebrities, and even entrepreneurs have failed precisely because they didn't understand that money isn't just for spending, but for directing? Mike Tyson, for instance, amassed hundreds of millions of dollars but lost almost everything due to poor management, allowing the unbalanced side of 8 to dominate his life. This demonstrates that simply having isn't enough. You need to know how to maintain. 8 is power, but a power that demands responsibility. It doesn't accept negligence, doesn't forgive waste, doesn't tolerate arrogance. It teaches that the flow of wealth is continuous, but only for those who learn to align themselves with it. Those who don't learn experience cycles of highs and lows, gains and losses, like a tide that ebbs and flows without warning. And here's a question. What have you done with the resources you've already received? Have you honored every cent, transformed it into something greater, multiplied it, and used it to create value? Or have you squandered it as if it would never end? If you have 8 in your birth date, know that it's no coincidence. You carry within you the energy of abundance, but also the responsibility of keeping it flowing consciously. Because 8 isn't just about being rich, it's about staying rich and multiplying wealth for yourself and the world. The number 7 has always been shrouded in mystery and spirituality. It appears repeatedly in sacred scriptures as a sign of perfection and completeness. 7 days of creation, 7 trumpets, 7 blessings, 7 virtues. When this number appears in a birth date, it brings with it the energy of faith, of vision beyond the obvious, of the ability to believe in the invisible before it manifests. It's like a constant reminder that true wealth begins in the mind and heart. before any external evidence. How many times have you refrained from acting because you wanted absolute certainty of success? This is the trap that ensnares most people. They wait for the world to give them proof before acting, but life doesn't work that way. 7 is precisely the call to trust, to believe when nothing around seems to support it. Faith isn't believing when everything is already clear, but when everything still seems impossible. I'll never forget the moment I decided to leave the fire department. It was a secure job with a guaranteed salary and stability. Everyone said I was making a mistake. You'll throw away a career. You'll regret it. I wasn't sure of anything, but within me was an inexplicable confidence. It was a feeling that something greater awaited me, even though I couldn't see it. That leap of faith opened the doors to all the transformation I experienced afterward. That was 7 operating in my life. 7 also manifests as intuition. It's that silent voice that whispers when something seems wrong, even without concrete evidence, or when an opportunity arises and you feel you need to seize it. Many people ignore this voice, believing only in what is logical and measurable, but they forget that every great achievement begins in what cannot be immediately proven. How many times have you felt you should act but let fear win, and then, looking back, realized the chance had passed? 7 is the invitation not to ignore these signals. Research in psychology shows that intuition isn't just a vague feeling, but the result of internal processes that unconsciously gather experiences, memories, and patterns. Science is beginning to confirm what scriptures and spiritual traditions have known for millennia. There is a higher intelligence within us that guides us when we have the courage to listen to it. The number 7 also reminds us of the importance of rest and reflection. Just as God rested on the 7th day, this number symbolizes the necessary pause to see clearly. In the pursuit of wealth, many believe they need to be in constant motion, running incessantly. But true power lies in balancing action and contemplation. 7 teaches that by silencing yourself, you can hear the answers that don't appear in the noise. How many bad decisions could have been avoided if you had taken time to reflect instead of acting hastily? Examples of public figures also demonstrate the strength of this number. Consider Elon Musk, a man who bet all his chips on companies that initially seemed doomed to fail. How many said that electric cars were unfeasible? How many claimed that no one would invest in private rockets? If he had waited for proof, he would never have taken the first step. It was faith in the invisible, vision beyond the obvious, that transformed impossible ideas into reality. That's 7 in action. The challenge of 7 is to abandon the need to control everything. It's to accept that there is a higher time, an invisible order that governs life. This doesn't mean crossing your arms, but acting with confidence, knowing that the universe responds to what you believe. It's a number that calls for the courage to sustain the vision when no one else believes, when everything seems to contradict your faith. And perhaps this is the most important point. True wealth, the kind that endures, is never born solely from calculations and guarantees. It is born first in the invisible, in the realm of ideas, dreams, and faith. 7 is this reminder that you will only see materialized what was first sustained by your belief, even without proof, even without apparent logic. If this number appears in your life, understand that you weren't made to wait for certainties. You were made to believe before you see. The number 8 carries the energy of balance between the spiritual and material worlds, representing the law of giving and receiving, of cause and effect, of planting and harvesting. It's impossible to speak of prosperity without understanding this universal truth. Many people believe they can achieve abundance by accumulating, retaining, hoarding for fear of losing. But 8 shows us that true wealth lies in constant flow. Like water flowing through a river, prosperity needs to circulate. When someone tries to stop this movement through fear or greed, they create a blockage that sooner or later manifests as scarcity. Observe the very shape of the number 8, a symbol of infinity lying down. It reminds us that everything is in continuous motion, that nothing is fixed, and that what we give returns multiplied. This isn't limited to money, but to all areas of life. When we offer love, we receive love. When we dedicate ourselves to our work, we receive opportunities. When we share knowledge, we attract even greater wisdom. It's impossible to break this law because it's engraved in the very order of the universe. 8 also teaches us that prosperity without purpose is emptiness. Many accumulate great riches, but live imprisoned by loneliness, fear, and unhappiness. This is because they don't understand that true wealth is the result of balance, not just sums in their accounts. Genuine success lies in recognizing that each achievement aims to serve, contribute, improve not only one's own life, but also the lives of those around them. It's similar to a fruit tree. It doesn't produce fruit only for itself, but to nourish the world. In practice, this philosophy manifests in simple actions. A word of encouragement can transform someone's day, and that positive energy returns in unexpected ways. A generous act of investing in a worthy cause opens doors to prosperity in unimaginable areas. A timely helping hand can unlock paths inaccessible to money. It's as if the universe is constantly assessing our trust in life's flow. The more we demonstrate trust through generosity, the more it reciprocates with opportunities, insights, connections, and resources. But this principle also carries a significant warning. Every action generates a reaction, whether positive or negative. Those who cultivate envy reap restrictions. Those who sow criticism reap rejection. Those who indulge in complaints attract situations that amplify their dissatisfaction. Conversely, those who plant faith, trust, and gratitude reap abundance. This precept is present in all spiritual traditions, but it synthesizes it clearly and concisely. There is no action without consequence, and the present is a reflection of what we sowed in the past. To understand this flow, visualize a spinning wheel. In its smooth rotation, everything flows in harmony. But if someone tries to interrupt this cycle, the effort to restrain the wheel becomes immense, and at some point, the accumulated energy turns against whoever tried to stop it. This happens when we act out of fear of losing, clinging tightly to what should be in constant motion. The universe finds ways to demonstrate that the law of giving and receiving is unbreakable. Many achieve great material fortunes, but without understanding this fundamental principle, they end up losing everything suddenly. What seemed secure crumbles because it was built on the illusion of accumulation, not balance. In contrast, those who cultivate generosity and trust in life's flow experience constant expansion, knowing there will always be more to come. This principle, therefore, is a call to accountability for our daily actions. It's an invitation to evaluate not only our actions, but also our thoughts and feelings, as all of this comprises the energy we send into the world. It invites us to observe whether we are living in the flow of abundance or creating obstacles that prevent the return of what we desire. When we align ourselves with this frequency, we realize that growth is unlimited. Prosperity ceases to be a distant goal and becomes the natural state of our existence. This principle reminds us that we are co-creators of this movement, and every choice, every word, and every act of faith builds the path to the inevitable harvest. Another principle brings the energy of closing cycles, of completion, and of preparing for a new beginning. It symbolizes wisdom, altruism, and the ability to transcend the ego to see beyond oneself. It's like the final stage of a journey, where everything that has been learned, lived, and achieved needs to be integrated before a new path begins. It reminds us that life is composed of stages, and to live fully, we need to recognize when it's time to close a chapter and open ourselves to the next. This principle carries the energy of maturity, of a broader vision, a perspective that is only achieved after experiences, falls, and triumphs. It seeks not only personal gain, but also collective impact. It represents the understanding that true prosperity is not limited to what we accumulate, but to what we share. It invites us to look beyond our own needs and to see how we can contribute to transforming the world into a better place. In essence, this principle is also the number of compassion. It awakens in us the understanding that we are all interconnected, and that the pain of one is, to some extent, the pain of all. This awareness broadens our way of acting, leading us to more humane, more generous, and more community-oriented attitudes. It's the principle that shows us that prosperity is not only material abundance, but also the ability to leave a legacy, to touch lives, to create something that endures even after our departure. But this principle also presents the challenge of detachment. Closing cycles is not easy, as we often cling to what we already know, even when it no longer makes sense in our journey. Whether it's a relationship, a job, a belief, or a habit that doesn't contribute to our evolution, this principle serves as a reminder that to make room for the new, we need to release the old. It's like a tree that needs to shed its dry leaves to bloom again in the spring. Resistance to this natural movement can delay our evolution, but confident surrender to life's flow allows us to move forward with lightness. In practice, this means honestly observing the areas of life where we insist on keeping something simply out of fear of losing it or out of attachment to the familiar. This principle calls for the courage to acknowledge what has already fulfilled its purpose and let go, for it is in this open space that life can bring new opportunities, new paths, and new blessings. This is the key to renewal, trusting that the end of a cycle is never a definitive loss, but always preparation for a new beginning at a higher level. This principle is also an invitation to altruism. It teaches us that at the end of each cycle, we do not take with us what we have accumulated, but rather what we have shared. True value lies in the lives we touch, the impact we generate, and the difference we manage to make in the world. Therefore, this principle is associated with service, donation, and generosity. It shows that personal evolution gains meaning when it transforms into collective benefit, when what we learn becomes a light to guide others. There is also a very strong spiritual depth to this principle. It connects us to the idea of a life mission, of a higher purpose, to the understanding that our passage through the world is not only to seek individual achievements, but to contribute to something that transcends our own existence. It is a call to look beyond the material and to understand that there is a spiritual dimension in everything we do, and that every act of love, compassion, or contribution has a much greater effect than we imagine. Therefore, this principle is the symbol of the inner master, of the accumulated wisdom that must now be transmitted. It asks that we do not keep to ourselves the lessons we have learned, but that we share them, for there will always be someone who needs what we already know. It is the point where experience transforms into teaching, where lived pain becomes comfort, where victory becomes inspiration. By understanding this principle, we realize that life is a continuous cycle of learning, sharing, and renewal. Each ending carries within it the promise of a new beginning at a higher level, and every contribution we offer to the world returns to us in the form of spiritual growth. This principle, therefore, is an invitation to conclude what needs to be concluded, to share what can be given, and to prepare with faith for the new chapters that will inevitably come. They reveal paths to prosperity, but they demand action, discipline, and alignment with universal principles that transcend our daily reality. And since you've come this far, the next video on the screen will take you a step further up this ladder of knowledge. It will further deepen your understanding, helping you become a little better than you are now, applying these teachings in practice in your life. Thank you for being here, for opening your mind and heart to new perspectives. I hope to see you in the next video, where we will continue together on this journey of growth and transformation.